Hi there, and thanks for joining Friday Focus, where we do not focus on what is seen, but on what is unseen. Friday Focus is taking a look at the book of Revelation. It's a very mysterious book, and so we gave a brief explanation last week about the book, and today we want to take a look at chapter 1 of Revelation. Now, before our brief look at Revelation, I think it's imperative that we have the right perspective when it comes to the book. Many Christians, as well as non-Christians, have an interest in Revelation. People have an almost insatiable curiosity when it comes to the future. However, there are a couple of things we need to recognize when it comes to Revelation. The first thing is that it's the revelation of Jesus Christ. This is his revelation, and he's the one doing the revealing, and it is himself, the one that is being revealed. And then number 2, to fully comprehend the book, we need a revelation of Jesus. Charles Spurgeon, a great minister of the gospel, said this: "The great fault of many professors is that Christ is to them a character upon paper, certainly more than a myth, but yet a person of the dim past, an historical personage who lived many years ago and did most admirable deeds, by the which we are saved, but who is far from being a living, present, bright reality." Unfortunately, some people think that way, and they could be never further from the truth. If Jesus is a mere convenience in our life rather than a daily living reality, we will always have difficulty understanding the revelation given to John. Now, that being said, to grasp the truths of Revelation, it's incumbent upon us to have a clear understanding of the book's structure. So in chapter 1, John is twice commanded to write, from his perspective, the past, the present, and the future. In verse 11 of chapter 1, he's commanded to write on a scroll what you see. And then in verse 19, the command is repeated: write down what you have seen, both the things that are now happening and the things that will happen. So you have the present, you have the future. So what's the structure of Revelation? The commands given to John in verses 1 and 19 help us to build a structure around our whole study of Revelation, enabling us to have some understanding. The revelation given to John revolves around 3 things. The first one are the things which you have seen. Jesus commanded John to write down all that he had just witnessed in his vision regarding Jesus. Then the second thing was the things which are. Jesus also wanted John to write the things he'd shown John concerning the times in which John lived, including the 7 churches in Asia Minor, which is modern Turkey. And then thirdly, the things which will take place after this. The third aspect of the command of Jesus was for John to document what he'd seen concerning what would take place after those things that concerned the 7 churches. We find that the vision fast forwards to the events of the last days. So broken down by chapters, Revelation is therefore arranged according to this 3-part structure. And by that, I mean that which is found in verse 19. Write what you've seen. That's the past, Revelation chapter 1. Write what is now, that is the present, chapters 2 and 3. And write what will take place later. That's the future, chapters 4 through 22. Notice the reason given by Jesus in verse 1 for the revelation that he gives to John. That's really important. This is what he says: "This is a revelation from Jesus Christ, which God gave him to show his servants the events that must soon take place. Revelation 1:1. This is important because we learn that Jesus revealed what he revealed was not meant to be hidden from God's saints, but was information that he wanted them to know. He also indicates that the information contained events that must soon take place. In other words, things which had not yet happened, but that were prophesied to take place in the future. We also learned that things that would soon take place or shortly didn't mean, just in, a few months or whatever, but when it happens, it would happen suddenly. So this means that Revelation is what scholars call a book of predictive prophecy, events that, as of the time of Revelation's writing, had not yet happened. So, to whom was this letter of Revelation addressed? Well, we're told that too in verses 4 and the first part of verse 5. This letter is from John to the 7 churches in the province of Asia. Grace and peace to you from the one who is, who always was, and who is still to come, from the sevenfold Spirit before his throne, and from Jesus Christ. He is the faithful witness to these things, the first to rise from the dead, and the ruler of all the kings of the world. So the letter was specifically addressed to the churches of Ephesus, Smyrna, Pergamum, Thyatira, Sardis, Philadelphia, and Laodicea. We see that in verse 11. And they were situated in the area which is the western part of modern Turkey. Now note, John writes that this letter is from the one who is, who always was, and who is still to come, from the sevenfold Spirit before his throne, and from Jesus Christ. So it appears that John is saying that God, in his fullness, the triune God, the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, is actively participating in the future of his church and in the coming restoration. The Father is the one who is, was, and still to come. He also mentions Jesus Christ. But who is this sevenfold Spirit? Now, remember, John's Bible consisted of only the Old Testament. With that in mind, and his letter is from the triune God, it's likely that John is thinking of Isaiah chapter 11, verse 2. The idea of the 7 spirits come from Isaiah's description of the coming Messiah, where the prophet describes 7 aspects of the Holy Spirit. Now, notice Isaiah 11:2. It talks about the Spirit of the Lord will rest upon him, the Spirit of wisdom, the Spirit of understanding, the Spirit of counsel, and the Spirit of might, the Spirit of knowledge, and the Spirit of the fear of the Lord. So it's not that there are 7 separate and different spirits of God, but that the Holy Spirit of God has these characteristics, and he has them all in fullness and perfection. As the first chapters of Revelation close, we have a picture of Jesus, and you find that in verse 18. He says, I am the living one. I died, but look, I'm alive forever and ever, and I hold the keys of death and the grave. Revelation 1:18. So it ought to bring peace to every reader, knowing that Jesus lives and completely controls everything pertaining to us now and forever, in the present and in our future. This is Dr. Vic Hollyfriend in His Grace. If you have any comments or questions, you can address them to me at vicsfridayfocus@gmail.com. God bless you. Have a terrific week.